Do you think part of what's behind our architectural malaise, and that's definitely my prejudice, you might not agree, is a spiritual decline? Do you think that might have something to do with it, the way we see ourselves in the world?
That's an interesting take. Perhaps, because I'm trying to think when architecture became less designed, let's call it that way, or less well designed, I would argue was probably around the 40s, something like that. And what happened then was obviously World War II, and things very much changed. And I think we, perhaps the world, not just the UK, came quite disheartened, dispirited, and things changed a lot post-war. So I think perhaps that is the case. I think a lot of architects throughout the past did see themselves as continuing as their actual architecture, as monuments to themselves, as as sort of evidence of their great work that would continue on through the centuries. Do we think that now? I'm not so sure. And perhaps that is because of sort of inherent spiritualism. Perhaps indeed. I don't want to say too much on that because I don't know. I don't know the sort of religious aspects of and ideals of all the architects. It'd be interesting to look actually at those who are sort of well designing buildings, and are they spiritual, are they religious, and those who aren't. That would be a very interesting PhD or something.
Yeah, it would be. I think ultimately, if you have a religious mindset, whether it's one that you're cultivated in from a young age or one that you get later in life, which is certainly the case with me, is you find yourself inhabiting past, present, and future all at once. Yeah. I think you do naturally start to have this idea that you are a steward and a custodian of something for people other than yourself and for something greater. And I certainly know, having inhabited the previous mindset of, we're kind of just meat sacks and we're just it's just blind luck. And once we're gone. And that's that. We're just on this kind of, in this empty void. And it's just a bit weird that we're here. I do remember how I both acted in life in terms of how I treated myself, the decisions that I made, how I saw the world. And I kind of find it hard to disagree with that notion that the viewer came across, that put across, which is, perhaps that very naked view of the world does just make you live in the present and makes you much less inclined to try and bequeath anything if you don't think anything's ultimately worth things. It kind of a nihilism.
Perhaps, I mean, the idea of legacy, I suppose, is perhaps not something that you particularly care as much about when you're younger. But I think also that there's far more issues, though, with why architecture is the way it is today, which goes back to, where does the funding come from? Is there sort of financial incentive behind a lot of it? Yes, but it's, do them quick, do them for no money at all, and put in as many as possible, rather than let's design a beautiful building that will last, that will be my legacy in stone, brick, whatever. I think there's a sort of very different perspective on architecture today, really.
Yeah, the funding source, that's actually overlooked, because if it's from some distant bureaucratic authority, they've got much less skin in the game with regards to making sure something is something that you're bequeathing. There's a little village in Northumberland called Rothbury, and and it is it's not really famous for anything, but Gaza. But Gaza, yes, bringing his chicken and his beer along for a serial killer. Very bizarre period in English history. For those of you who don't know, do go and Google it if you've got time on your hands. But Rothbury is also known because there was the world's first electrified house there called Cragside. And it was electrified by hydroelectricity. The benefactor, or the builder, the owner in residence, was Lord Armstrong, and he got his money from munitions. He effectively owned the factory that built the munitions that won the Napoleonic Wars, and later his sons oversaw it when It ended up winning us the First World Wars and the like. So very interesting place. But he also became a benefactor for lots of little projects in the town. And there were, beautiful things like leaving an Anglian cross with Anglo-Saxon stylized kind of carvings into it. But he also left social housing, and the social housing is the most beautiful social housing I have ever seen. And you wouldn't even know it was, it came with all these decorative features. It's still used as social housing, even though it was built in the 19th century. And he also did it in memory of his mother, who had recently passed away. He did it in the style she would have liked. And then there was also this family called the Sharps, and they were from a long line of aristocrats, but they were also Church of England clergy. And they would do lots of little projects like have people building follies around the place that were very beautiful just to keep the local labourers busy. And I don't think you'd find that of today's moneyed elites.
It's funny you should say that, because thinking about why they did, because I was thinking Titus Saltaire near Bradford, that was built for his workers. Same thing, Joseph Rowntree built New Earswick just outside of York. They all really patronize these great little model villages for all different reasons, but a lot of them were a legacy within their own towns, cities, and we don't see that as much today. But I was trying to think whether there was anyone who has done it today, and I was trying to think, I was going to say, is there as much money, in the world today as there was back then? There was a lot of people with a lot of money, or few people with a lot of money, but I suppose there still are. There's still quite a lot of people that have a lot of money, but we have billionaires now, don't we? Are they patronizing beautiful architecture? That's what's interesting. I don't think they are.
Yeah, the distance of international capital, I suppose. No one's actually rooted anymore to a place. They're just flying around on private jets and have bigger plans elsewhere.